Great morning, holy brothers! Thank you so much for joining us on our pathway to peace inside the Garden of Peace. If you're following along, we're on page 291, and today's lesson is called Terrible Tyrants. That's right, people can be magically mad and going nuts inside their homes, and let's see what they have to say about that. A tyrant in the house. Sefer HaBris says there are people who are careful not to harm anyone. And guess what? They love and they honor others and everybody around them. Yet they hate their wives and they insult them. Can you believe it? To everybody else around them in their lives. They're going to be amazing. They're going to be good. They're going to be giving. They're going to try to make every single person happy. But when it comes to making the one inside their home, their own wife happy, they never give them the time of day or the light of day. They say there is no sin in doing this. They do not understand their sin is even greater if they would do this to a stranger, because for one's wife is the essence of one's own flesh. Furthermore, why should wives not be included within the commandments of do not hate your brother inside your heart? And also, love your neighbor as you love yourself. They don't understand. They can understand and apply this principle to every other single person in life except for their wife. It's crazy. You spend the most time with her. She's the most connected to you. But to give all your love and all your effort to everybody else in the world, except you're going to do it to her. But it happens so often and so sad. The ancient Jewish adage says, just as their faces are not alike, so too are their opinions different. Husbands and wives always have different perspectives and different goals to one another. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Yes, it's very true, but this need not stop them from building a happy and a successful life together. They are like magnetic poles. Men are north and women are south. But guess what? Even though they're completely opposite, they can magnetically connect and draw each other closer and stick together and bond, because that's what magnets do. When you have somebody that is just like you, sometimes it is so hard to get things done. And sometimes, even though you love the same things and you act the same way, when you put two north magnets together, what do? Boom! They repel each other. They push each other apart. So it's not always great to have somebody that's exactly like you in order to achieve, to accomplish, to build, and to succeed in this world. Sometimes you need somebody opposite in order to attract, because they're going to help complement you and help make you become whole when you work together. They know that when they get married, there will be a difference of opinions between them, and their intention is that when they arise, they will, guess what? Respect each other's wishes, and they'll arrive at a mutually satisfying compromise to work together. This works well. A husband that feels that being a man of the house grants him what? Oh, I gotta be the man. I gotta be the one in charge. I gotta put my foot down. I have to have the last word. And I have the power to veto over everything my wife wishes. That's a tyrant. That's somebody crazy. That is not normal, and that does not help get you a good relationship. Anywhere you go. This was the attitude of the wicked Haman of Haman, and all the wives will give honor to their husbands, so that each man will be the ruler of his home. That's what he says in Esther 1, 20-22. He wanted his wife and children to literally bow down to him, to serve him like all the slaves in their palace, and to accept whatever he said, no matter how good or how bad, no matter how punishing, no matter how helpful it was to them. Such a person feels that he has the right to insult his wife. You hear? To insult his children, and to make fun of them, and to make them fear him. The Talmud says, whoever places too much fear in his home will in the end come to transgress 3 major sins: forbidden relations, bloodshed, and breaking the Shabbos. Here's how. We're going to go into explain it. Forbidden relations, if the night of his wife's ritual immersion and she goes to the mikvah, but for some reason she does not manage to go immerse herself, she'll be too afraid to tell him. If she's so worried about everything that she says to him, because she's worried he's going to beat her, she's worried that he's going to yell at her, are you crazy? So if she doesn't end up going to the mikvah in the night that she's supposed to, in order to be with him, she'll have to have relations with him while she's ritually unclean and unfit to do so, because she's so worried for her life. She's worried what her husband's going to do to her. He's going to destroy her in her mind and her body too, that they're going to be having so many more forbidden problems, transgressing the Torah, because she's worried about what she's going to say to him, what he's going to do to her. Can you imagine, God forbid, such a situation? Bloodshed. Why? Because when she runs away out of fear of him and what he could say or what he's going to do, due to her emotional duress, can end up in a fatal situation. Besides the fact that we said when you embarrass somebody, all the blood leaves their face and they turn white, that's considered tantamount to actually killing somebody, which is why it's so bad to talk lashon hara or to say bad things about somebody. But you're putting her into a situation where it can literally be fatal, not just emotionally and mentally, that comes to physical harm later, but first and foremost, causing her problematic physical harm and transgressing of Shabbos. Why? If his wife forgets, God forbid, to kindle the Shabbos hot plate, to turn on the blech, to heat up the food before nightfall when she needed to in order for his food, what? To be hot, yes, to be warm. Her fear of his reaction will lead her to turn it on after the Shabbos has commenced, because she's so worried about his retribution. She's so worried about what he's going to do to her that she will, God forbid, do it even on the Shabbos, because she's worried about him. To eat food that has been literally cooked on Shabbos. There's so many problems, because a husband instills this fear into his wife. It's going to destroy his home, destroy his relationship, and destroy his own observance of the Torah, of Shabbos, of all these mitzvahs that we just talked about right now. Whenever one of our children has misbehaved, never happens in anybody's house, right? A kid who doesn't do exactly what his parents want, a terrorized wife will be afraid to tell her husband. For tyrannical husbands are usually also, guess what? Tyrannical fathers. And they will punish the children cruelly, severely, and critically. The child, in turn, becomes progressively undisciplined and becomes more difficult to handle, has so many more problems that are stored up inside of themselves that are going to pile up high. Were it not for the reign of terror at home, she could have kept her husband abreast and he could have helped his child before he or she slipped down the pattern of wrongdoing. If you're going to set this into the kids, that's going to be later in life. That's going to build into their mentality, into their mind, so they turn into these type of people later in life. It's crazy. What are you ingraining in them when they're children? What are you putting in their mind when they're young? What is happening? In a household with fear, everyone will lie and not tell the truth in order to escape the wrath of the despotic father and terrible husband, because they don't want to be beat. They don't want to be insulted. They don't want to be hurt. So everybody's going to come to lie. Everybody's going to come to transgress the Torah out of fear, out of worry that, God forbid, their husband, God forbid, the father, should get wind of what they did and then him lash out at them. What are you doing? What are you building? You're destroying everything that you come in contact with. A man must never insult his wife ever. Never criticize her. Never even comment to her if it's not a positive, absolutely pure, great thing for her. Or God forbid strike her, God forbid hit her, you're out of your mind, you're violating so many commandments, and you're also hurting her physically, hurting her emotionally, mentally. What are you doing? How are you going to build a relationship like that? It makes no sense whatsoever. The Jewish code of law states a man who hits his wife has committed a transgression, and the power is given to the court to beat him. The power is given to the court to excommunicate him, because that is not the way. Like they say in the Jedi, the new show that came out, right? This is the way. That is not the way for a person to act. It is not Torah. It is not Jewish values. It is not godly. It is the exact opposite. Is that the kind of person you want to be? Is that what you want to instill into your kids? Is that what you want to show your community? Is that how you want to be punished for it? What are you gaining now for a few seconds to destroy everything in the long run? You got to be out of your mind. But people get so caught up, their evil inclination dominates them and takes control of the reins, and they become arrogant, they become haughty, they become animalistic. Rav Chaim Vital explains, when our sages said that anger is tantamount to idolatry. Yes, they were teaching us that a person with emunah should never, ever, any time in his life get angry. We talked about yesterday, the Rambam says there are two things that one should never have in his life: arrogance and anger. Zero. Ever. It is never, ever acceptable in Jewish code, in Jewish law, in Jewish thought, to ever have an ounce of anger inside your body. Yes, if you want to sometimes yell at your kids, yes, sometimes you got to pull them back from running into the street, and you might yell at them to teach them a lesson, but never, ever inside your heart should it be with hatred. Never should it be with anger. It's only in order to get them to learn a lesson, to teach them how to be, okay, on the outside, put on a facade, put on a front, in order to get your message across. But never have a flaming fury fire inside yourself. No, ever. Yes, you have to walk the straight and narrow path for every mitzvah in life, except for arrogance and anger. You can never be 50-50. It's always zero. You always have to be empty. Your tank has to have nothing left in it when it comes to those two things. With emunah, with faith, with a real connection to Hashem, he should know that every single thing in life that happens to him, everything around him that he encounters, even at the hands of other people especially, is only and always from Hashem, the one above. Stop and think for a minute. When's the last time you got angry? When's the last time something actually upset you? Somebody said something to you in the community, or you got stuck in traffic. So many people lose their cool because they think they have to be at a certain place at a certain time. And not only is God the one controlling it, but he's controlling it because he loves you, and it's for your ultimate best. If you always keep in mind that what's happening to you and around you is from Hashem, you can never lose your cool. You can never get angry. You can never be upset, because you know Hashem loves you, and everything he's doing is for your best. So how can you get lost in a moment and say, oh my gosh, I'm upset now? What are you upset about? God loves you and he's doing these things for your best, because you don't know at this moment how it's good for you. Now you get upset. Now you get worried. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be late for work. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be late for the interview. Stop it. Maybe God's telling you you shouldn't be at that interview. Or maybe you're coming late and it's going to trigger another course of events that's going to help you get a better job. Or make somebody, they might feel bad for you, or might give you another position. Whatever it might be. But if you're losing your cool, if you're getting angry, or you're getting arrogant in some moment, at that moment, God is not in your life. You're pushing him out of the picture. Right now that you're upset is because you're forgetting God. You're losing that foundational faith in the moment, and you're like, God, get out of the picture for a second. Stop. Go away. I don't want to deal with you right now. Right now, I'm all about me. I'm forgetting that you're running my life. I'm forgetting that you're doing everything with love, and I'm forgetting that you're the one in control. If it ever seeps into your mind, stop for a second and say, oh my gosh, I just realized that I pushed God out of the picture. In this moment, I am forgetting that God exists in my life. Not overall, but right now at least, you're not putting God in your life. You're saying, go away for a minute. I don't want to deal with you right now. Pushing out of the picture. Don't ever do that. And if you do realize it, at least pull yourself back and say, I do want Hashem in my life. I do want to be connected to God at every moment. This is what I'm here for. This is my purpose in life. And I never want to forget that. As such, there'll never be anything to be angry about. Anger shows that lack of emunah, and therefore is equated with idolatry. You get it now? Because if you're angry and you're pushing God out of the picture, that is the same as serving idols. Because you're saying there's another force in the world who I can turn to get what I want. There's another thing that I'm going to pray to other than God. So that literally anger is idolatry. You don't want to be serving idols. You don't want to be serving yourself. You want to be serving your wife. And you want to be serving God. That's the way to do it. Don't be selfish. Don't be self-centered. Give of yourself to come closer, to connect, to have a better relationship, to show real love, and pull God down into your life always, so you can have an awesome, deliciously amazing rest of your day.